Jeff, how impressive has Jared Goff been?
Oh, extremely impressive. I mean, this is a guy that was thrown into a trade package, and you're trading away Matthew Stafford, and you're like, all right, I'll take Jared Goff. And now it seems like Jared, you can make an argument he's your quarterback of the future, at least for the near future. And not only just that, with how he's been playing, too. Like, he walks into a team that's super incomplete, didn't have a bad year last year, missed a couple games, 19 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, but he follows it up with a really, really good season. I mean, he's top 10 in multiple categories. He's 8th in yards. He's 5th in passing touchdowns. He's 6th in QBR. Only has 7 interceptions on the year, and those interceptions came from the first 6 games of the season. I mean, he hasn't been throwing picks. He hasn't been turning the ball over. This is the Jared Goff you love to see. In the rapport he has with his receivers, Ben Johnson, I think, has done a great job. And along with that, his offensive line. I mean, protecting them, them being able to run the football. I mean, this is everything and more you expected out of Jared Goff. I mean, he allows you now, with how he's playing, to build this roster, to continue to build this roster, add talent defensively, so you have a complete roster. Like before, you had the conversation, should they draft a quarterback? Should they do this? Should they take a flyer? Even last year. But I think Jared Goff, the way he's been playing, the money he's making, he's not making top-tier quarterback money. You can make a legitimate argument. He's outplaying his contract right now. It's affordable. He's the perfect quarterback to have right now. And he's having an excellent season. So I'm extremely impressed with Jared Goff. I didn't expect him to play like this, to be top 5 in the NFL in touchdown passes, but it is what it is. I'm very satisfied with what I've seen out of Jared Goff. And I do think, regardless, he's going to be the starter next year. But if they don't have the quarterback position figured out, he could be your quarterback for the next couple of years as you continue to build this roster.
And how do you not see it that way, right? What did we talk about long time ago? Could Jared Goff be your Alex Smith? Well, what did Alex Smith accomplish in Kansas City, Jeff? Especially down the stretch. Division titles.
Yep.
Playoff wins. Alex Smith was, quote, the guy. Alex Smith was a guy that was winning you a lot of football games, and he showed up to Kansas City at 29 years old. Goff, 27 when he showed up to Detroit, and he gave you 3 division titles. And he was your starting quarterback for a 5-year span. He was your starting quarterback for a 5-year span. 11-4, 8-7, 11-5, 11-4, and then 9-6 as a starter in that span. And Mahomes being inserted in 2018. So Jared Goff, to me, I don't have a problem with him not only next year or the year after. It gives you time to make the decision on your franchise quarterback. Look at the Jets. They get a new GM. They get a new head coach. A lot of these teams. First draft, they have the number 2 overall pick. What do? Jamar Chase, Penei Sewell, Kyle Pitts, Jalen Waddle, Micah Parsons, Patrick Surtain,
right.
J.C. Horn, Let's take a quarterback. This Zach Wilson kid might be Aaron Rodgers. Oh. Kid wasn't even a 4th-round projected pick back in November prior to that draft, but whatever. That's not important. And what happens? They're regretting it. And if you gave the Jets a Jamar Chase, if you gave the Jets a Micah Parsons...
They tried to get Tyreek Hill in the offseason.
You would have a much better team moving forward with clarity. And then you could go out and get a veteran quarterback to be your, quote, bridge. And people misunderstand the idea of a bridge quarterback. A bridge quarterback is somebody you are more than happy to have start as your quarterback until you draft or make a decision on the future guy. It's that simple. That's all a bridge quarterback is. That doesn't demean their play or mean they can't win you football games or mean that they can't have good seasons. And right. Jared Goff is having a very good season. 22 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. On pace for 4,200 yards. On pace for almost 27, 28 touchdowns. On pace to throw maybe 10 interceptions at most this year. That'd be impressive for a guy that turns the ball over a ton. So he's having quite the season. I'm impressed. I'm happy for him. And more than him, I'm happy for the Lions because I know they can win a division next year with him. I know they can. I know they can win multiple divisions in the next 3-4 years. I know they can get to the playoffs because your GM's going to build a roster. Your head coach, to be determined, but these last 6 games, he's turned some heads. And if him at 5-1 is more of who he is than when he was at 1-6, I can get on board with that. Now, do I think they're going to balance out when he's somewhere in between the two? Maybe that's the law of averages, but I hope I'm wrong. Actually, I hope I'm dead wrong on that. But regardless, you're going to be able to win with Jared Goff. That's not a question. The question becomes, is it 23? Is it 24? Is it 2025? When do you submit the ballot? When do you submit that pick and say, that's our guy moving forward? And it's typically not in the second or third or fourth round. You make that decision in the first round. You would think with 2 first-round picks, this would be the ideal year. I don't think it is. I don't think it is because of draft position, and I don't think it is because you have a quarterback playing really well. You improve the defense, sky's the limit.
Mm-hmm.
Sky's the limit. Let's go to the people. What do you guys think of Jared Goff? Let's start with Rasul out in Florida. Rasul, you're on the morning show. What do you got for us, buddy?
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Good.
Yeah, I've been trying to call in for a couple of weeks, so I got a lot to. So yeah, about the Jared Goff thing. See, my problem is that we clearly know his limitations. And if you guys were preaching that we should have moved on or drafted a QB when we had Stafford, like we're now in the same spot again. A QB that's going to be able to do enough for us to win some games, but not take us to where we want to get to.
Well, where do we want to get to? That's my question for you before you continue.
Okay, I mean, I want us to get to where we're going to win because of our QB play. And I don't think that Jared Goff is that person. I think he's going to win because of the tools that we have around him, the line that he's sitting back there creating meals with. But as soon as any part of that is wrong, he is terrible, like, if I'm being honest. But as long as everything's holding up, he's great. Like, yeah, he's doing great. But I don't think that that's a thing that we're going to win with if you're talking about going up against the Eagles or the
I do agree. I think that's a very important point because that's why he is what he is, right? That's why you're paying him what you're paying him. That's why he's not a franchise guy. You can win sometimes, which is the very rare occasion because of him.
Right.
Most times you win in spite of him, and that's okay. That's not a bad thing. I guess my question for you, Rasul, is do you think he's good enough to win you a division or two in a 4 or 5 year window? And if the answer is yes, then I think that allows you time to make a decision on drafting that guy that you're talking about.
So this is what I think, honestly. I think that, by no means do I ever want us to be chasing QBs. I don't want us to ever have to package 4 or 5 picks in the future for a QB, nor do I want us to trade for a QB. We got to give up a ton of capital. No, that's never. I really want us to get a QB that falls to us as far as wherever we are at. With that being said, yes, I think that Jared Goff, even with the team that we have now, without adding any new people going forward to the next year, I think we can contend for a playoff or a division.
Yep.
That's what I think. So, but with that, we're mortgaging futures if we decide to. If you feel like one of the QBs that are going to be gone before our second pick in this round for us to give one, like I don't think that we need to go our defense, because as our defense gets healthy and we keep stacking up the defense players that we've already drafted and it gets healthy, it's going to be a logjam at all these positions outside of the secondary. Now the secondary is the only group of or linebacker that I feel like we really need to pay attention to. Our defensive line, yeah, you can use some people, but as far as like going up and really dedicating a top pick for that, like I don't think we're in that spot yet. I mean, I don't think we're in that spot any longer. But yeah, can we use a Jalen Carter? Heck yeah. I'm not sure about a defensive end because we already have like 5 defensive ends that we're trying to figure out who they are and what we're going to do with them.
Yeah,
so that's kind of where I'm at with it.
And the question you got to ask too, Rasul, is do you believe Will Anderson is the is better than the current edge rushers you have. I'm not talking about Aiden or maybe James Houston because he looks great, but a John Kaminsky that's playing a ton of snaps. Like that's the question. Yes, the defense has been playing better, but don't forget the defense early in the season as well, how bad they looked. Like that's the question Brad would have to answer. Do you feel like Will Anderson is better than anybody currently you have?
But you can say yes to that already. We know that. We know he's better, but I guess I look at it like, where can we make the biggest improvements to our roster? Like, yeah, he'll make it better, but how much better are we looking at? That's the question. And I'm not saying that he won't be a great person. I'm not saying that any people we already have on the roster won't do better. But how much? Like, I almost will take a chance on the middle linebacker than something that we know that may only move it marginally. I think if our linebacker plays a whole lot better, I think our whole defense starts playing a whole lot better.
Well, I think you're going to be able to address that not only in the draft, whether it's the one of the 2 second-round picks or the third round. You're going to have money this offseason. So I'm with you, though, on your original point with Goff and this roster as it is. I think they contend next year. Nobody's going to change my mind off of that. I'm not moving. They are going to contend next year in this division. And this NFC...
Yes, I'm with you with that, too. Yeah,
oh yeah, 100%, man. Appreciate you calling, man. Great
even with
call.
our current roster,
Oh yeah, I'm with you.
So, also, I wanted to say this about. I know I've been wanting to call in as far as Dan Campbell. Yes, we know Dan Campbell is not the X and O's kind of guy. That's why he has Ben Johnson. That's why he has Aaron Glenn. He is a very good. He's a very good person who is a leader of men. We knew that going in. And what I love about Dan Campbell more than anything is the fact that he can keep you motivated. Listen, one thing that I couldn't stand about the last regime, and even probably to a little bit of when Caldwell was here, they wasn't motivating the players like they, you know what I'm saying? Like, they wasn't getting them.
But Patricia was just a scumbag, though. He was just treating everybody
horrible. And you see what he did with the team, though? Like, not even just past what he did was getting the players out of here. Like, the morale. Like, I like the fact that they're still excited to play. Like, even if our roster is not good, like, at least make me look like y'all excited out here to play. And that's one thing that I think goes unsung about Dan Campbell. He keeps them in playing and playing hard and playing fast. And I think that can be just as important as calling the right plays. You know, if your players, regardless if they're good or not, if they're not motivated to play,
coach, it takes more than just being the X and O's guy, because you're seeing it with the Raiders and Josh McDaniels. I think he's one of the best OCs in the NFL. That doesn't mean he's a good head coach. You have to have a certain amount of traits and qualities. But Rasul, great call, man. I'm glad this was your first time getting on. You did a hell of a job. Appreciate you calling in this morning, buddy.
No problem.
Yep. Take care. That was a good call.
Yeah. No, there's things I definitely agreed with. Him talking about the team and what you're looking for in the draft. I think that depends. I mean, I think looking at the last 6 games, people get a little wrapped up in how well they've played, but it doesn't change the fact that there's still holes on this team and defensively especially. So defense looks better, but you still need a Jalen Carter or Will Anderson. Like that's no question. So
fair enough. To his last point about Dan Campbell, I'm not sure how I feel about saying he's not an X and O's guy.
I think that gets thrown around a little bit. Yeah,
I think that's a bit. I think you're throwing him in a conversation I don't believe is true. Spent a lot of time under Sean Payton. Now that does not mean he's Sean Payton. And look, he looked like a turd to start the season. Mm-hmm. He just did. And suddenly in the last 6 weeks, he's outcoached some of the better coaches in the NFL. Some of the brighter, up-and-coming coaches in the NFL, whether it was Dable, whether it was LaFleur,
right,
whether it was more recently Kevin O'Connell. He's done it. Doug Peterson, he outcoached.
And people forget, too, Adam, last year, he was calling plays. So if he's not an X's and O's guy, why did the offense look, even more better with Dan calling plays? I know Ben Johnson is, and that's great, but yeah, Dan, I think he gives off this aura of, I'm Dan Campbell, kneecaps. And people kind of get lost. Like, this guy's not an X's and O's guy, but no, I think he is. I do. Along with the motivation. He brings both.
We'll see how it plays out. Let's...